Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where in the world you are right now. Thanks so much for joining us for our pre-arrival webinar, Graduate Student Experience at UC San Diego. A little bit of housekeeping before we begin. So you are in listen only mode, which means you can hear us, but unfortunately we can't hear you. So because of that, we encourage you to submit all of your questions for today's webinar through the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. If for some reason we don't get to your questions today, you're always free to reach out to us via icontact.ucsd.edu. And finally, we are recording. So you'll be able to view this webinar as well as other previous webinars we've done at iwebinars.ucsd.edu. And you can go ahead and click on webinars for newly admitted students to access all of those webinars. All right, and with that, I'm gonna go ahead and hand it over to my colleague, Lisa, to do some reminders from ISPO.
Good morning, everyone. Just a quick reminder from ISPO that you are able to request your immigration documents now. We began accepting applications on March 1st, so our advisors are very busy processing I-20s and DS-2019s. So please go to inewstudent.ucsd.edu to get information on how to request your documents and prepare for arrival or to prepare for your studies. So again, inewstudent.ucsd.edu for more information on how to request your documents. And I'll turn it over to Shauna from Grad Division for some reminders.
Thank you, Lisa. So I'd like to remind everyone to log into their accounts at gradapply.ucsd.edu to view your application portal. And in a moment, we'll show a screenshot of what this page looks like. Be sure to fill out the statement of legal residence form. Most students are admitted provisionally. This should not impact your ability to get immigration documents, but it does mean you have to provide official documentation of any past degrees or other documents. And you'll find the list of these in your portal under the pending admissions documents section. If you have any questions about your pending documents or about your admission, you can contact gradadmissions@ucsd.edu. And I'm going to go ahead and put it in the chat, and our staff will be able to help you out. So this is what the application portal looks like. And you can see on the left where the form section shows everything that you need to complete as a new graduate student. And then below that is where you'll find your pending admissions documents. I want to call your attention to the bottom right-hand corner. These link directly to the section of the Grad Division website for admitted students. And our next slide will show what this looks like if we can go on. Okay, so on the graduate, thanks Grace, on the Grad Division website, on the admissions section, there's a spot for admitted students, and it will show all of the items that you need to take care of, what to do immediately, before you arrive on campus and after arriving on campus is how the information is organized. And so please become familiar with the website. Make sure that you're aware of any deadlines for upcoming action items. And this is where you'll find all the information you need. And I'm also going to put a link in the chat so you can access it directly. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over now to Tenzin.
Good morning, everyone. So my name is Tenzin. I'm the Grad Life intern for the Graduate Division. And Grad Life is basically one aspect or branch of the Graduate Division staff. And that supports the success of all the UC San Diego graduate and professional students, as you can see here, by providing academic, financial, social, community, and health resources, as well as promoting events relevant to graduate students. So one way that can be relative to you all before arriving to campus is really just finding out ways in which you can get involved in the school and in academic life before arriving onto campus, and finding out different organizations and events and opportunities that might be relevant to you. And one way that Graduate Division and Grad Life tries to help you do so is through our weekly Grad Life newsletter. So that's kind of a rundown that you'll receive each week in newsletter format in your email inbox, just displaying different events, opportunities, both professional and communal, that might be relevant and interesting to you. And it'll apply to all sorts of different majors and programs. So no matter what major program you're from, there might be something in there for you. So you can check that out. You'll be automatically registered onto it once you begin at school, and you'll receive it every single week. Along with that, we also have the Grad Life Google Calendar, which you can view on our website. So that'll have a rundown of the different events happening throughout the week that you can always just check out and view, and it will automatically link you to the different websites and registration sites for the different events. So that's everything that'll be in store for you for next year. And we hope to connect with you all more to learn different ways that you can be more involved as grad students. So be sure to check out the Grad Division website in the meantime, so you can be in the know.
All right, now we'll have our graduate intern from ISPO talk about some graduate welcome programs.
Thank you, Grace. Good morning, everybody. My name is Gabriel Mayam. I'm the grad intern for student engagement and student experience at ISPO. And we are going to talk about the Grad Pulse program. So the Grad Pulse program aims to ease incoming students settling as they arrive in San Diego by pairing them with a continuing student. Through this initiative, new students will have the opportunity to ask non-academic related questions to their peers, be provided with support during the first few weeks, and facilitate the transition into graduate life at UC San Diego. This initiative is run by ISPO, and the office tries to match students of the same program or department, so the communication between them becomes easier and more useful. If you want to take part of this program, we recommend you to go to the link that appears on the screen to sign in. And now I will hand it over to Paula, I guess. Thank you.
I think I can talk about the Graduate Professional Student Association because I'm the Professional Development Coordinator for the GPSA, formerly known as the GSA. All right, so as it says on the slide, the GPSA advocates for the rights and interests of all graduate students, both academic and non-academic, which is why we added the P to our name. And it represents the concerns of the graduate and professional students to the UC administration directly. So it's like this communication way to bring our issues to the administration. So there are a few ways to get involved. So one of the ways is every department elects one student representative to meet regularly with representatives from other departments to discuss issues on campus, and it's a great way to meet other graduate students. They also provide funding for events, as it says in the chart. So if you need a travel grant, if you're hosting a department event, you can ask them for some funding. And another great thing about them is they also have smaller committees that work on a variety of different problems. For example, I'm also on the library committee where I talk to the library people and we figure out the best way to help graduate students. There's also a committee that works on environmental issues on campus. So there's a lot of great ways to get involved and meet other great people.
Hello again. We are going to talk about now the Parents and Caregiver Organization, association, that we have here on campus to support students or affiliates who are parents, guardians, or caregivers. We have a very large community of caregivers in our campus, and we have the school provide resources for them to better adapt to UC San Diego. They also provide opportunities for networking, building a community, and informal exchange. As you see on the screen, they have a wide variety of resources that they provide for you in case you are you are in this situation, in this condition. For example, they provide like about $1,100 each quarter as a financial aid that you can apply to on the link that we provide for you. They have a website. We recommended you to look for this website for the parents and caregivers organization to really know what are all the choices that you have in case you want to apply for any of these resources. In the next slide, you will see also different ways to communicate and to get in contact with the organization. You will see the email and other resources, different platforms on social media that you can access to in order to get in contact with the persons that are in charge of this initiative and to be able to join this community. Then we are going to move on to the resource centers, that they are other way for you to enjoy and to engage in extracurricular activities. So the resource centers are a sample of the huge diversity that we enjoy in our campus. There are 7 of them, and they create a welcoming and holistic learning environment for everyone. They offer activities, events, and resources to connect with other students, staff, faculty, and alumni to celebrate the cultural richness in our campus. If you intend to have an active extracurricular life at UC San Diego, getting in contact with resource centers is one of the best ways to do it. They not only provide assistance to minority groups on campus, but they establish connections with the community surrounding the school that allow the students to know better the history and culture of the city. However, there are several ways in which you can get in contact with and take part of one of these organizations, so your involvement does not necessarily compete with your school obligations. Each one of them has a website where you can learn about this. The names of the organizations are pretty clear. I just want to clarify that APIMEDA stands for Asian Pacific Islander Middle Eastern Desi American. And as you can see, they cover like a wide variety of minorities and different cultures that we have in our school. Next slide, please. Now is the turn for students, international students organizations. And we have a wide variety also of students organization, more than 500. This is a website that you can access to get in contact with and know about all the students organizations that we have in our campus. During fall, the campus throws a student fairs where different organizations advocate so the incoming folks can know about them and join to their cause. Next slide, please. As you can see here, there are more than 500 of them between organizations, different organizations, clubs, and other types of student communities. In terms of categories, there are like a wide variety also. You have professional type of organizations, you have sports, religious kind, entertainment, social. So all of your interests may be covered in any of these organizations. There is also a wide variety of them in terms of nationalities, ethnicities, preferences that are represented by these orgs. And that's it. Thank you so much.
All right, so now we are going to jump into our student panel. So we wanted to cover some resources that are relevant for international graduate students that students find helpful, but we also know that sometimes talking live to students is actually what's most helpful and hearing like, what is it actually like? So we have like a set list of questions that we think would be helpful to begin our conversation, but I want you to encourage you that as we're talking, please feel free to submit your own questions through the Q&A. So like I said, we have a handful of questions and then we'll spend the rest of our time together today actually answering the questions that you yourself put in the Q&A. Before I hand it over to the different panelists to introduce themselves, I'll also say that let's say, I don't know, as they're introducing themselves, you find that you have a question for a specific panelist. If you would also like to note that as you submit your question in the Q&A, that can help us better direct that question. Okay, so I'll go ahead and hand it over to the panelists to introduce themselves. And if you can say a little bit possibly about your home country, the program you're in, both like the department and maybe the level, master's, PhD, and anything else like maybe how you're involved if you are involved on campus as you introduce yourself. So I'll hand it over to Parla to begin.
Hi, everyone. I'm Parla. I'm a fifth-year PhD candidate at the Cognitive Science Department. I'm also an international student from Turkey. And yeah, so I'll be answering your questions.
If I can just jump in really quickly, Parla is also involved in our International Student Advisory Council. So she is one of our liaisons between our International Student Advisory Council as well as the GPSA. So I just gotta give you a quick shout out there, Parla. All right, over to you, Viona.
Thanks, Grace.
Hi, I'm Viona. I'm a fourth year in the visual arts department, so in the art history program. I'm from Belgium. Forget the things I'm supposed to say. I'm from Belgium. As I already mentioned, I'm the professional development coordinator for the GPSA. So I organize career nights and things like that. Yeah.
Go ahead, Tenzin.
Morning, everyone. Again, my name is Tenzin. Pronouns are he, him. I am a second year in the master's program at the School of Global Policy and Strategy. I'm doing a master's in international affairs. I'm a domestic student. I was born and raised in California. But on campus, I am involved as well in the GPSA. I'm a representative for my program to the GPSA. In addition to that, I'm also involved within the smaller government, student government that is within GPS. We're called Go GPS. So kind of in the smaller government as well as the greater GPSA student government. So if anyone is in the GPS program or has any questions about anything like that, I'm happy to answer any questions about that or general questions about student life or San Diego in general.
Great, and we'll close with Gabrielle.
Thank you, Grace. Well, as Tenzin, I am also a second-year student from the Global School Policy, the School of Global Policy and Strategy. Sorry, I am a second-year MIA student. Until very recently, I was involved, and I was also the president of the Latin American Association of GPS. And as you know already, I'm the intern for ISPO. So I will be very happy to answer any kind of question that you have regarding grad life here in San Diego.
And Gabrielle, you're also from Cuba. Did you mention that? Maybe you already did.
I am from Cuba.
Okay, great. As you can probably tell, we're hoping that this is a time where you can, a little bit more informal than maybe some of our other webinars, and feel free to submit any questions you would like. But our first question for our panel, and feel free to answer in any order, what was the most challenging part of adapting to UC San Diego?
I can go ahead and answer this one because when I came to the US was because I was gonna study a master here in the US. So I didn't have any kind of experience living in the US before. So the cultural shock and the life change was the most important impact for me. I've been only here in San Diego and the country for only 2 years, and I am still adapting. So for those of you that never been living here in the US before, I wanna say, take things easy. It will be difficult. It will get very rough sometimes, especially because the school is very demanding, and UCSD is a very demanding university, but you will get it, you will be fine. Try to create a healthy routine and healthy network of friends and classmates that help you to thrive.
I can talk as well. I had a similar experience moving to the US. I also had never been to a university that was so big. Like UCSD is a huge, like the campus is so huge and you have to walk a long way to get from one end to the other. And that was something that I had never really experienced. I'd always gone to smaller schools, and it's also easier to make friends, I think, at smaller schools because you just run into the same people all the time. And here you're all like spread out, and so it's a little bit harder at the start, but you do kind of find your way around. Like you find your favorite coffee cart and which I think is also a very great American thing, coffee carts, and you find your favorite lunch spot, and then you do meet friends, but that was kind of a hard, challenging thing at the start to get used to this big campus. But a big campus also means a lot of opportunities in a lot of different places, which smaller schools don't usually have. So I think that's really nice.
I was fortunate enough to be a UCSD undergraduate as an exchange student. So I had some exposure to what the university was like, but as Fiona said, this is a huge university and I come from a small college. So it was hard for me to find my way around and especially make friends as an undergrad. But at the grad level, you have your cohort, your friends in the department, and the department, the grads in the departments usually make like events, etc., and to just like build that community. And I think that's really helpful. And like grads in general, try to make your life easier. They're your pals. And sign up for the Grad Pals program.
All right, so we'll go ahead and transition to our next question. So what resources provided by the campus eased the adaptation process or helped you transition to UC San Diego? You already highlighted some of them, but feel free to add on if it wasn't covered.
I can go again if that's okay, because I saw a message in your group about UCSD being UC socially dead, which I don't think that is true because it kind of depends on you, right? Like there are events, the GPSA hosts a lot of events. That's where I met most of my friends. And so I really recommend that you go to those. And then, yeah, there's so much stuff to do. So it's not socially dead unless you don't go to the social events, and there are a lot of social events. So I think that's a big thing that helped me, just attending GPSA events, also going to GPSA meetings. You just get to meet people who are interested in similar things, and that's a great way to make friends.
I'm seeing a lot of questions about the quarter system. I had a semester system before coming to UCSD, and the quarter system is challenging. It goes by really fast. You have to be on top of everything from the start. And it's even harder for undergraduate students because there's like more classes that they're taking. So at the grad level, it could be depending on your program. So if you're, let's say, in the STEM programs or biology, you're mostly in the lab, especially like in older years. So they don't feel the quarter system as much. in my experience. But if you're TAing, then that's, really, your dates by the week numbers. So we're currently in week 7, 10-week quarter plus the finals week. And it is challenging, but you get used to it after maybe a couple quarters. But as I said, like you need to be, I'm not somebody who is great with calendars and like keeping calendars, but I had to adapt to that. Yeah, it's tough, but you'll get there.
I'm doing like my visual check if I like see someone about to unmute. So if at any point you I skip to the next question and you wanted to add on, feel free to do so. All right, so our next question is, how would you describe your experience as a graduate student at UC San Diego beyond the classroom? So what are some things that maybe you've gotten involved in that could be related to school or not, things that you enjoy in San Diego, things that you enjoy about your life here?
I will go ahead. Well, I have a very atypical UCSD experience. Almost my entire 2 years were like affected by COVID, and that changed everything. So I don't know, I can't tell you about a normal life at UCSD because I only enjoyed like 2 quarters of a normal life at UCSD, and the rest of it was COVID related or COVID affected by. So we had like since March last year, we had a lockdown. The school imposed a lockdown very early. And I have to say that the school policy regarding COVID was very anticipated, was very was very good. And it allowed, it enabled to have a very secure situation on campus. Students, I don't know. Personally, I don't have any friend that have gotten COVID. We got almost the entire, by now we got almost the entire staff and the entire students community fully vaccinated or with at least one vaccine administered so far. So it's been very well managed, the situation here on campus. Besides that, the situation, the experience have been amazing. I mean, coming from a country as particular as Cuba is, and coming here to the US, the experience have been amazing. I met a lot of friends. I really like my program, my international affairs program. And I think you will have time, depending on your program, the time that you intend to spend here, you will have time to do a lot of things because the school provide a lot for you, not only to develop as in your academic life and as a professional, but also as socially. And you will have time to create a good network of classmates, friends, colleagues, future colleagues, and also to enjoy any kind of extracurricular activities that you may prefer. If you are a sport person, this is one of the greatest schools to be at, especially if you are a pro, because I'm not a pro, but you have a lot of things that you can do sport related. And of course, we are in San Diego, and learning how to surf is one of the main things that you have to do.
I just want to say that I think Gabriel highlights a really big point that I was thinking about with this question, which is about how different that this incoming class's experience will be compared to the year before it. So obviously, the class that started as of 2020 will have the most unique experience in terms of their first year at UC San Diego, most likely ever. And it's certainly affected any opportunities they could take to get to know each other in terms of social activities, even in the classroom or in their research opportunities. But with that, and with the current pace of things, just nationally in the United States, it seems like we are headed towards a trajectory where things will be different and hopefully for the better when you all begin in the fall. And I'm not sure exactly how that will look, but I can say with fair confidence it will look better than it looked in the previous fall. And hopefully it will be approaching what the years before were able to have in terms of being together, getting to know each other, and just experiencing San Diego and campus together. And with that, in terms of on campus, you do spend your day to day with the people in your cohort and your program, and those are the most likely people that you will become the most close to, especially when you're in classroom settings like myself and Gabriel are with our program. Within the short 2 years that we have, we spend most of our time with our classmates and things like that. And then in terms of just getting to know people outside your program and outside your cohort, there are different opportunities that the GPSA and Grad Division in general tries to foster. One notable one that I can remember before COVID again took away my student experience was the Halloween event, which was a lot of fun. So hopefully more things like that can happen in terms of your guys' first school year. And then moving on from that, there's also plenty of opportunities outside of campus to experience San Diego life as things open up more, get to experience the culture within San Diego, which is honestly a really great way to kind of put yourself outside of your work, outside of your schoolwork. I think San Diego is one of the best cities for stress relief, potentially in the United States. So that's a really great opportunity. And I highly recommend everyone take advantage of that.
I can jump in. My experience as a graduate student, it has changed over the years. I've been involved in the GPSA and advocacy efforts in the COVID era and the year before that. And my time in the GPSA has been full of things to advocate for. So there's been a lot of things. But before that, in my non-GPSA years, I was pretty average grad student in the department, and still trying to find my way around of like research and also just being a grad student, really. But UC San Diego has a lot to offer. But being the really like big university it is, you have to be proactive in seeking those opportunities. So talking to your peers, coming to like GPSA, talking to ISPO, like attending these webinars, and that sort of thing is really important for you to, find out about those things. There's a lot out there. And now I feel like I know definitely like 1,000% more than I did 3 years ago. But there's still things that I discover every day. Outside, beyond the classroom and the university, what changed my life in San Diego is getting a car. I recommend having a car if you're going to live in San Diego. I don't know if, like for a master's student, maybe, it may feel like I'm not going to be there for a very long time. It's only 2 years. And coming from a country where buying a car is a really big investment and expanse, it's not really like that in America. So, it's pretty essential, I would say. And if you don't know how to drive, now may be a good time before you come to San Diego. Now could be a good time to learn how to drive, because having a car here will definitely change your experience.
Yeah, I want to echo what Parla said. When I was picking the place to come to for my PhD. I didn't really think that much about location, which seems very silly in retrospect because you're moving to a place where you're going to be for like the next 5 years of your adult life. And so you want to spend it in a place that's actually where you can actually do stuff. And San Diego is really great for that. There's the beach, but then there's also national parks that are in driving distance. So again, yeah, San Diego is very car focused. There is some public transport. We do get a bus pass through the university, and it will help you get to campus from certain locations, but to like spend time on the weekends, it's not the easiest way to get around. But yeah, I really love living here. I live in Pacific Beach, which is like near the beach, kind of far from campus, not that far. There's like a bus, takes 40 minutes. But I haven't taken the bus yet because I haven't been to campus since I moved. But yeah, there's a lot of great places. I get that at the start you might want to live near campus, but I would really encourage you to kind of look at other places in San Diego because there's really great neighborhoods that are cheaper and have stuff to do on the weekends and after work. Because yeah, it is like your life. It's not just school, especially if you're doing the PhD. And yeah, San Diego is great. I love San Diego. The weather's always nice. I mean, I'm from Europe, so the weather in comparison, it's always nice here. I'm sure some of you are from places where the weather is also always nice. But yeah, it's been really great living here, and you should definitely try surfing, as Gabriel said. It's awesome. Yeah.
All right, so we'll go ahead and do our next question. So what extracurricular activities are you involved in or did you get involved in? And I'm seeing in the Q&A, we have some questions about youth recreation, surfing, I think like joining a choir or a choral group, even talking about maybe like, there's a question, is it free to use the gym and indoor sports facilities, or do you have to pay to use those? So if you kind of want to talk about, and also some questions about if there are any like perks. So like if you get any discounts at places. So yeah, would love to hear from you all.
Yeah, I can take that one. I think, I'm not sure because I get a full scholarship, but I think that the recreation charges and the use of the gyms is included in your tuition. But you have to check on that. But as far as my knowledge, you don't have to pay for use the gym or to use a very special permit or anything like that. Because of the COVID situation, the school took the measure of close all the amenities, including the gyms. But now they are opening them. They have open outdoor gyms with a decent amount of apparatus and gear to work out. They are also starting to open the pools and the hot tubs. And if you live on campus, you can enjoy that because we have a pool and 2 hot tubs on campus, and they are amazing. But yes, if you check on the links that we share during our presentation, the international student organizations and the resource centers, for any of you that want to participate in extracurricular activities, this is the place that you have to go to know all the things that the campus offers. And related to sports and recreation, we have a very strong movement in sports and recreation. You have to go to my Triton link, I think it is, and there you will find the recreation part with all the things that you can do, and you can learn a lot of things, and you can start like because you don't have to learn any of these sports by yourself. For example, we have classes on surfing, we have classes on archery, a lot of things. So you will, and especially you that are coming in the fallout of COVID, so you will have the chance to get involved in many activities.
Yeah, so continuing this conversation really quickly, I know it's a little tangent from the original question, but yeah, so basically, like what Gabriel said, there's a lot of free opportunities on campus. What they've done so far in light of COVID was they've made a lot of different opportunities free. What they're calling it is the return to rec or recreation membership. So that's free, and that gives you access to like you said, the pool and different athletic facilities they have. So they have like established kind of guerrilla gyms, outdoor gyms, and fitness facilities for students to take advantage of, because all of the original facilities were obviously indoors. No clear information, I believe, whether they will be open in the fall. But in the case that they continue to be closed, you will have free access to all the outdoor facilities and things like that. And classes like surfing or yoga, even that would traditionally, I believe, come with a fee, have been made free, especially during times of especially during times where it's not officially school, I guess during the quarter. So like spring break, winter break, things like that. Classes will be free and available for students to take advantage of. And then in terms of discounts around San Diego, I think the only ones that I'm aware of that are San Diego specific are like, I believe like movie theaters, I think, and bowling alleys. So there's a few of those around San Diego. And then I know for sure, if anyone is particular to Asian food, there's Convoy, a neighborhood in San Diego where probably our best Asian food is. So definitely check that out. And they have several Asian grocery stores. So there's H Mart and Ranch 99 specifically I'm thinking of, and they both offer student discounts if you just bring your student ID, which you'll receive at the beginning of the school year. There's that, so take advantage of that if you need Asian groceries. Yeah.
If I can just chime in really quickly, there's also a free grocery shuttle that goes to Convoy area. So you can access a lot of these grocery stores that Tenzin just highlighted, as well as restaurants. And so I can try to find that and put that in the chat, but take advantage. I know that some of you are asking about transportation and ways of getting around San Diego. So there is a free grocery shuttle that specifically goes to that area.
I want to plug what is it called? Like, there's a fitness and yoga pass that the university offers. I don't know what's going on with that right now because none of the facilities are open, but it's such a good deal. I think they lowered the price right before everything closed, but it was like $25 and you could take so many different classes like yoga and bar and spinning and what else? It's like group classes and they're all covered. And I used to go like right near my office. So for lunch, I would go and do yoga with my office mate. So that was really, really fun. And again, the GPSA has a lot of committees where you can meet people who are interested in similar things. And my department also organized events. I don't know if it counts as extracurricular if it's my department, but yeah. And then San Diego is a great place to live. There's neighborhoods that you can visit. I'm repeating the things I've already said, but yeah, it's a really great place. And you can also always kind of start your own activity. If it doesn't exist yet, like just talk to someone and then you can just start doing whatever it is that you've come up with and then just do that because it's such a big school and there's always support for everything. So yeah.
I would also want to add, in addition to sports, UCSC recreation facilities also offer classes in like crafts, like arts and crafts. So I took a sewing class. It was pretty fun. And those are usually like $40-$50 a quarter, which I think is pretty affordable for something that you go to every week. Other than that, use of gyms are free. That's as Gabriel said, that's covered in your tuition and fees. So if you'll see your student account charged with like tuition, university fees, like your center fees, recreation fee, something fee. Those are all fees that cover all the resources that you have available on campus. And there is a new arts and crafts center, I think, that opened up the North Torrey Pines Living and Learning area or something like that. So I'm pretty excited about that. It seems like they'll have a lot of new opportunities for recreation there. And during the COVID times, actually GPSA had a lot of good, like we were very creative, I think. The GPSA social events group, was very creative in coming up with events that you can participate from home. So we had a lot of like sip and paint nights and all sorts of like DIY kits and events available. So yeah, like campus is pretty good in terms of offering those things.
Great. All right, our next question is, what is something you regret that you haven't done yet as a UC San Diego, or maybe is still on your San Diego bucket list, if you will?
I'll just say surfing. Still haven't done that yet. I'm embarrassed to admit.
I haven't surfed either. That's on my bucket list too. But in San Diego, like UCSD, I tell us about it.
Yeah, I have to admit that I also advocate for surfing, but I haven't surfed yet. I don't know. I am very impatient, and when it comes to have to be on a board like for 2 hours waiting for the perfect wave, that's not me. I enjoy to be at the sea. I enjoy to be swimming, but I have to say it because we are in San Diego, so forgive me.
I can't believe this. We should all go surfing together. Yeah, I'm trying to think of my regrets. The thing is, I've been here for 4 years now, so I feel like I've done all this. I've never been to Potato Chip Rock. I think that's one of those things. It's like a hike that you do, and you go to this like rock, and from some angles, it looks like it's just hanging over nothing, and so you can take cool pictures where you're like falling off, or just holding on to this rock.
It actually is hanging over nothing though, and that's the scary part.
Oh, really? I thought it was just like a optical illusion type thing. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, but my hope is that I guess you all that arrive in fall will find a really good group of people to become friends with, and associate with and spend your time with, so that you all can kind of brainstorm on things that you all really like to do, kind of congregate a list of activities, because there's so many different things to do that you probably have in mind already. And then you'll meet someone who has their own list of things that you hadn't even heard of. So you'll hear about Potato Chip, and then they'll hear about Mount Cowles or Joshua Tree, which is close by, or Big Bear. Just a few hours away, there's snowy mountains, and then a couple hours in the opposite direction, there's barren desert. So that's kind of a unique thing about this area, I guess, which are just a few hours away by car. And then in terms of within San Diego, I guess one of my regrets, which can feed into hopefully what you all can learn from my mistakes, is just like exploring more of San Diego in general. So I spent a lot of time, perhaps too much time in this area of San Diego, closer to La Jolla, like more north, Carlsbad, and that kind of area. But if you go further south, there's a lot of the culture that kind of, I believe, makes San Diego San Diego. So there's the Hillcrest North Park areas, where some of the best food is as well. If anyone's is into food, as I'm sure some of us are. There's Barrio Logan, and in Chula Vista, where all the famous tacos are, the Mexican food that really defines San Diego as well. Taking advantage of that while we're here, for anyone who's interested is something that I highly recommend, and that even though I've kind of done a little bit, I just wish I'd done more of and was able to fully experience.
I wanna say something, if you allow me, Grace. People is asking a lot about time consuming activities, and how do you balance your school obligations with your social life? Well, it will depend entirely on you. I have very poor time management skills, but very poor. I always do things at the last time, but still I managed to get a social life and to thrive to my school and my schoolwork. So it will depend on you. It will depend on where your priorities are and what are your intentions for your time here in San Diego. But don't miss the chance of knowing the city. Don't miss the chance of knowing this beautiful city that, as Tenzin explained, has a lot of things to offer, and a beautiful landscape to know, and different activities that you can do. But yes, I think it's a very hard school in terms of workload, but if you have the intention, you can get to enjoy your social life.
And if I can just do a shameless plug for some of our activities. So I know a lot of you have mentioned like surfing and some of those outdoor classes. So we actually have a collaboration with Outback Adventures that offers a lot of those, called Triton Trekkers. And right now, all of those trips are free for students. I can't promise that they always will be. But for example, this spring quarter, we're offering a kayak La Jolla Cove trip and a snorkel La Jolla Cove trip. So there's definitely opportunities out there. As someone who loves free things, even though I may not be a student anymore, there's a lot of things in San Diego, and it's really exciting because I'm starting to see some of them come back online. So for example, at Balboa Park, which is where a lot of our museums are, like there's free Tuesdays, so free museum Tuesdays. So every Tuesday, typically, there's different museums that will be free that I recommend you checking out. Additionally, over the summer, there's a lot of like free concerts in the park, free movies in the park that you can go to and kind of check out. One of my personal favorites is Humphreys by the Bay concerts. And if you have a flotation device, you can paddle and listen to a free concert from the water. Very fun, highly recommend. So a lot of those happens over the summer, but because San Diego in some ways is summer all year long, some of those things will happen into the fall or start in the spring. So there's a lot of things that you can do if you make the time for it.
Okay, one last plug if that's okay.
Yes, please do.
Yoga on the beach is also a very SoCal activity. So the near campus, I'm trying to think, it's like North PB area. You can you can do yoga on the beach, and it's very cool. I would recommend that you do it at least once. It's an experience.
If you're really into yoga on the beach, you can do it by beach. So you can do yoga on the beach in La Jolla, yoga on the beach in Sunset Cliffs. I mean, you can make a whole thing of it. Wow. Okay. We'll move on. Okay. So our next question is, what piece of advice would you give to incoming international students? And I'm seeing quite a number, if anyone wants to speak to this, quite a number of questions in the chat regarding like, we've highlighted this a little bit, but having a car / having a bike, so living close to campus, ways to get around, transportation, using the bus, using different shuttles, the difference maybe between the UCSD shuttle and the MTS bus system. So if someone wanted to weave that and speak to that as a part of their answer, as well as other advice that you would include for an incoming international graduate student.
I'd say the first things first. If your name is not on the wait list for the grad housing, do put it right now, like right after this webinar, because what matters is when you put your name on it. You can always, change your moving dates. You can put it even like 4 or 5 years from now, but what's going to matter is when you put your name on the wait list, and do it if you haven't done it yet. My advice would be, even if you think you will never live in grad housing, still do it, because someday you might not, like you might want to move in, and then it'll be too late. In terms of the car versus buses, etc., If you live in UTC around campus, I think it's fine. Like, even if you do have a car, you might not want to take it to campus because of parking. Parking is a huge issue on campus, finding parking. So, you might want to use public transportation, and we do have free access to those. So, that's one thing. But if you don't live near campus, then you will be living, let's say, in where most grad students live, in Hillcrest, North Park area. And depending on where exactly your apartment is, there may be like a 20-minute walk to the shuttle, which then takes, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes to get to campus. Yeah, so I think having a car is really, like, I wouldn't say it's I think it's a significant life improvement if you do have it, because it will free you from staying home when you could go somewhere. If you don't have a car, the next best thing is to have a friend who has a car. But yeah, like, a car is important. My strategy before getting a car was, I tried the buses and everything, and I was commuting to school in my first year, which was really hard because I had like evening classes, which would end late after, and when they finished, the buses wouldn't run. So I would have to take Ubers and Lyfts. So at some point I decided that, okay, I'm not getting a car yet, so I might as well spend, like the money that I would spend on a car, like maintain a car, on rideshare services. So that's an option. There's also Zip cars that you can use, but I think definitely, like, being able to drive and having access to a car is really, really, really necessary.
Yeah. Echoing Parla's point, I know I'm not an international student. One piece of advice I think would be helpful for international students is to find a friend or two that is a domestic student, I guess, because they'll be the ones that likely have cars. So whether they're like your mentor through a mentee mentorship program or just meeting people around, the domestic students, we'll be happy to drive you guys around, especially helping you get adjusted within the first few weeks of being here. We're all classmates, and we definitely want to just do our part to help each other out. So especially if you end up moving into graduate housing where you have a domestic roommate, or you find someone through Facebook or social media that you can trust, that's great opportunities to take advantage of. And I think kind of speaking on, I think public transportation in and around campus in San Diego is probably one of the only things I'm super qualified to speak on in this panel. So definitely for like Parla said, if you live in Hillcrest or North Park or somewhere kind of far away from campus, you're getting a car. Investing in a car will be your best bet. Unfortunately, the bus and transit system is not too strong in San Diego between those kind of neighborhoods and campus. They're working on improving that. I believe there's a trolley system in the works for apartments, off-campus apartments that are kind of far away from campus, but still can transport you to the congregation of apartments that are marginal to campus, if that makes sense. So that hopefully will be done within the next few years. But again, a car, if you're going to be here for a few years and you're able to get your license, a car will be a worthwhile investment, especially if you want to go on trips kind of away from San Diego. Want to spend too much money on Ubers or things like that. And then in terms of traveling getting around on campus, we have a really big campus. If you haven't had the opportunity to visit yet, it's quite a walk to traverse around. And before you think about investing in a bike, I would kind of really consider, which I didn't consider, kind of how familiar you are with a bike and how good your leg strength is, because our campus is also very hilly. There's a lot of really steep hills. So investing in a bike might be a lot more work than you thought it would be, or a lot more work than its benefit. So that's something to consider. And more recently, they've established a lot of like ways that you can get around campus more easily. So there's like these electric scooters that you can kind of rent out for a cheap fee. And those have been really popular for getting around on campus. Or just investing in a skateboard in general. I'm kind of more partial to skateboards. I think they're like easier to kind of bring around the place and just casually get around on campus with. So if that's scary to you, you can also try out a scooter. But just bikes in general, you might have a better time at UC Davis or something like that. But aside from that, I do have a mentor or a mentee that I'm mentoring who is an international student. So one of the main concerns she had when she arrived to campus, she's from Japan originally, was securing a domestic phone as soon as possible. So like that was like the biggest roadblock for her, kind of, or the biggest obstacle was getting a domestic phone line so she could just register for things, get notifications, things like that. So getting the domestic phone, getting the transportation if possible, and just finding a domestic friend would be my main, I guess, pieces of advice as a not international student.
I want to make a plug in here, shameless plug. Grace is supposed to give out the Mint mobile SIM cards.
We have boxes of SIM cards in our office. So once people are on campus, we want to give them away.
That's great. Because yeah, like that phone company is, in my experience, the cheapest, and it's pretty reliable. So do make use of that. It's pretty good.
I also use Mint. I would also recommend it. Another thing that I didn't know before I came here is that the housing, if you rent a place like on campus, it doesn't have any furniture, which I didn't expect. So that was kind of a big problem unless you're renting, like subleasing from someone. Also in the US, to rent, you need a credit score, which means that you need to get a credit card, spend money on it, and then pay it back so that you build up a score. Because if you want to rent a place off campus, unless you're subleasing, you have to show them that you can handle money. So that's kind of a big one. And you also need a social security number, which you have to go to like this office downtown. And near that office is a donut bar, which is a great donut place. So if you're going to go down there, you should definitely go to the donut bar as well. All right, that's it.
I want to echo what Vienna said. So 2 things. After you leave the webinar, go sign up for the waitlist for HDH housing. And then when you come to the States, you go to the bank, you open a bank account. They're not going to give you a credit card right away. Maybe they will, depending on your financial situations. But do look into getting a credit card right away, because you do need to build credit history. It's I think one of the regrets that I have, that not doing that right away, because nobody told me that you need this thing called credit history to be able to rent off campus, or to do anything really. So yeah, do get a credit card, even if you're not going to use it, just so you have the time.
All right. So we are actually at the end of our time today. Went by quick. That was so fun. So I encourage you all, if you have any follow-up questions, you can head to iNewsStudent or email us at inewsstudent@ucsd.edu. Additionally, if you have any questions about like student life specifically, I'm going to go ahead and put this in the chat. But if you email iprograms@ucsd.edu, I can always forward that on to Gabrielle, or maybe some of the folks here. And so, yeah, I know that there was a lot of really good questions in the chat or in the Q&A, and we tried to get through as many as we could, but unfortunately we just didn't have enough time to get to each and every one of them. So please feel free to reach out to us. And we definitely want to connect with you and want to make your transition to UC San Diego as seamless as possible. But with that, we have come to our end of our time, so we hope that you'll join us. iwebinars.ucsd.edu is the place where you can both watch previous webinar recordings, highly recommend the grad student housing one because it's like in-depth information about a lot of the questions now, as well as sign up for upcoming pre-arrival webinars. So it's a great kind of one-stop shop for everyone. And so with that, we're going to close, but thank you so much for being here. Hope to see you in the future and have a great rest of your day, everyone.